Everyone, welcome back to Simming History, where we look at the history of architecture through the lens of the Sims. Before we get started today, if you like the video, please take a moment to hit like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Today, in the first episode in a series on ancient Egypt, we are looking at the Old Kingdom, or a history of the pyramids of Egypt. Egyptian history is separated into 30 dynasties and 3 kingdoms. The Old Kingdom was comprised of the first 8 dynasties and spanned the years 2920 to 2134 BCE. But throughout Egypt's entire history, it's the same emphasis on death and afterlife. Securing your afterlife, and especially the afterlife of the pharaoh, was critical and was considered more important than your human life here on Earth. At first, houses for the dead resembled actual houses. These were called mastabas. They were above ground, single story, with a small room inside that people could actually visit and lay offerings at the foot of a statue. Below that statue would have been a shaft filled with rubble to deter grave robbers that led to the actual burial chamber, which contained the dead and the trappings they would need in the afterlife. And so, we have the first step of the pyramid, very literally. But how did ancient Egyptians go from mastabas to a millennia of pyramid building? It all started with a pharaoh named Djoser, a funerary complex in Saqqara, and a priest named Imhotep. Djoser was a pharaoh of the 3rd dynasty who ruled from 2630 to 2611 BCE, and he entrusted the task of building his home for the afterlife to his high priest, Imhotep. Born a commoner, Imhotep was highly regarded as an advisor in his time, worshipped as a god after death, and is today regarded as one of the first recorded architects. For Djoser, Imhotep designed a massive complex covering 35 acres, which has a 33-foot-high stone wall that has only one entrance. Visitors entered on the southeast corner through a 1-meter-wide hallway, roughly 39 inches, into a corridor with 2 rows of very tall columns, which are fluted to look like bundles of reeds, and opened into the Great Court, where ceremonial races were held. There are 2 mastabas, one on both the north and south end of the complex, with the journey between the 2 representing the journey of the pharaoh in the ceremonial races. Each of the 2 mastabas contained burial chambers, but only the north was used for the actual purpose. This complex also contained palaces, altars, additional courts, and a mortuary temple. In the center of the complex, that North Mastaba became eventually the first ever pyramid. Imhotep changed the design by adding 3 more mastabas of decreasing size on top of that first. And eventually, that pyramid was enlarged so 2 more levels could be added. The final, what we call step pyramid today, is 6 levels, has a rectangular base, and is 197 feet tall. From there, we move on to the Pyramid Odyssey of the 4th dynasty pharaoh, Sneferu, who reigned from 2575 to 2551 BCE, a span of only about 25 years. At Meidum, Egypt, Sneferu added a finished outer layer to a stepped pyramid that was already under construction, possibly originally meant for a previous pharaoh. This pyramid would have had a height of 302 feet, with a slope of 51 degrees, 50 minutes, and 35 seconds. That slope is almost identical to the Great Pyramid in Giza. Sneferu's possible pyramid theft, however, was not rewarded. His addition caused a structural failure, resulting in a partial collapse. And pharaohs cannot be buried in something that has partially collapsed, because a partially collapsed pyramid does not a restful eternity make, and so he moved on to Dashur, where he had another pyramid already under construction. But apparently, the recent collapse of Meidum spooked the builders in Dashur. Originally designed with a 616 square foot base, this pyramid had a slope of 54 degrees, greater than any of the pyramids of Giza. But halfway through construction, that inclination was reduced to a mere 41 degrees, giving this pyramid its name, the Bent Pyramid. And I'll submit this pyramid wasn't perfect, and like its predecessor, a botched pyramid does not a restful eternity make, and so Sneferu moved on yet again. To his third and final pyramid. This pyramid was also built in Dashur and was completed with the full funerary complex. Its base is 722 square feet, has a slope of 43 degrees in 22 minutes, and rises 344 feet above the ground. Today it is known as the Red Pyramid for its oxidized limestone core that was revealed after its finished stones were stripped by scavengers. Its conservative design ensured it remained standing, and despite the weight of over 2 million tons, no cracks have appeared. This pyramid, where Sneferu was eventually laid to rest, served as the model for all future pyramids. Not just its shape or construction method or foundation, but also the two burial chambers, one stacked on top of the other, which harken back to those two burial chambers and the two mastabas at Saqqara. Eventually, this design would lead to the Great Pyramids of Giza, the only remaining of the wonders of the ancient world. I debated whether the Great Pyramids of Giza should be included in this video for quite a while. Ultimately, I concluded there is just so much to cover that they just deserve their own video. So thanks for joining me this week as we looked at the very start of the pyramids of Egypt. Next week in part 2, we're going to look at the Great Pyramids of Giza, one of the 10 wonders of the ancient world. Who built them, why, and how. We're going to look at some of the conspiracy theories surrounding them, and we're even going to try to unlock the secrets of the Sphinx. So until then, you can find me on Instagram at Simming History and on the Sims 4 gallery, where there are playable versions of many of my builds. I will see you all next week. Bye!